Fe, Esperanza y Caridad, Faith, Hope, and Charity. This is Sancista Brujo Luis, and I'm doing a video today. This is the month of October, and if you notice, my videos of this month have been in honor of the season of the witch, celebrating, witch topics. But I want to cut that for a little bit and focus on my foundation. A lot of people ask me, okay, so I'm a brujo, which means a male witch. Bruja is a female witch. But I was born and raised a media unidad, a medium, in the Puerto Rican Espiritismo Criollo tradition. My grandmother was an espiritista. She was a presidente de mesa. She was a head medium, in a templo en el centro in Puerto Rico. And I was trained by my abuela to use and learn and develop, desarrollar my facultades, my spiritual faculties. So I want to talk about a few of the books, well, actually two of the books that we use mostly in Espiritismo. But first of all, I want to show you, my grandmother's book of prayers. Now let me talk to you about what is Espiritismo as practiced in Puerto Rico. Espiritismo, there are very many branches of Espiritismo. You have Espiritismo científico, scientific Espiritismo, or what is known as Kardeciano Espiritismo. That is the Spiritism that is practiced mostly in Europe. The Espiritismo, and yes, that is also practiced in the Caribbean, but you also have folk Espiritismo, or Criollo Espiritismo, Creole Espiritismo. Sorry about that, my dog. Creole. But you also have Creole Espiritismo. Espiritismo, in Puerto Rico, there's Espiritismo in Venezuela, there's Espiritismo in Cuba, Espiritismo in Mexico, in Brazil, and even though you'll see a lot of similarities in the way the Espiritismo Criollo is practiced in each island or in each country, they have certain distinct flavors for each, island or country. In Puerto Rico, it is called either Espiritismo de la Mesa Blanca, which is Spiritism of the White Altar. You have Espiritismo Criollo, which is Creole Spiritism. Espiritismo Folclórico, which is folkloric Espiritismo. Espiritismo, when it comes to the folkloric traditions, it mixes. It's more of a form of a spiritism, but it's also of a form of shamanism, where it mixes elements of indigenous Taino roots, Taino beliefs. The way we cure, the way we do things has a lot to do with the native Taino people, and it also incorporates elements of the African, the Africans that were brought to Puerto Rico. So in Puerto Rico, most of the Africans that were brought to Puerto Rico were of either Yoruba or Congo descent. So that influenced the Espiritismo as practiced in Puerto Rico. And if you go to Cuba, you will find Espiritismo del Cordón, which is more of an indigenous form of practicing, a Taino form of practicing Espiritismo. And then you also have Espiritismo Cruzado, which is a spiritism that is mixed with Santeria, the religion of Santeria. So they honor and they use the Santos. In Puerto Rican Espiritismo, the Santos are also used. There is another form of Espiritismo that is known as Seance, which is more of a mix with Haitian Voodoo and Puerto Rican Espiritismo, and that is where Seance came to be. You also have traditions similar in Brazil, like Maria Leonça. In Brazil is Umbanda, and in Venezuela you have Maria Leonça. In Mexico you have, I think they're called Fidencistas, after Niño Fidencista. But anyways, this is my grandmother's book of prayers. You will often see in a mesa espiritual or en la mesa blanca these two books, La Fe en la Oración and Colección de Oraciones Escogidas. This is my grandmother's prayer book. This is the book that she used when she labored Espiritismo. My grandmother she didn't read that well, but she had, I think, 3 books in her collection. This was one of them, which is this book right here. She had La Biblia, the Holy Bible, and she also had El Evangelio del Espiritismo, the Spiritism, I don't even know, the Gospels of Spiritism, okay? This book is from like 1950. I just really dislike opening it because it's from 1956. It was handed down to me from my family when my grandmother passed away. This is something that I got to keep from my grandmother. So this book, I don't let nobody ever touch it because this was very sacred to my grandmother. And I think it's dated 1956 or 57. This never comes out of it just never, I keep it very well safe and hidden. This was my grandmother's personal book and the book that she used mostly in her Espiritismo. Espiritismo deals with the world of spirits. We are mediums, and so most of the prayers here have to do with helping spirits either find light, tortured spirits. So it goes down in explanation of various group levels of spirits and what prayers we can use. There's also prayers for seances, which we call sesiones or veladas in Puerto Rico. In Cuba, they call them misa. Now, I'm going to push this aside because it's very sacred. This book is this book. So this is the one that you will see mostly in mesa blancas or in bovedas. I'm going to place this guy to the side for a second. This is the one that you will see mostly. I have a few copies, as you can see, because they're very affordable, and you can get them in any botanica. And this is the same book as this, okay? They're like $3. And these are the books that we use for las oraciones to start las sesiones, las veladas espirituales, okay, and everyone gets a prayer book so that we could all pray in unison. Now, usually you will find an English version of this book, which is very translated. The Spanish version is red, and I think the English version has got an orange one. Of course, it's titled in orange, but the English version of this is very, 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 horrible. I don't know who translated it. And so a lot of people ask me, what is a great translation of this book? Well, if you study the Gospels according to Spiritism, you would find that the Gospels of the Spiritism of Allan Kardec has the prayers in them. But if you don't want to learn the Gospels of Spiritism, one of the best books, one of the best translations in English is called a Collection of Selected Prayers. Okay, original by Allan Kardec, and it's by Candita, Gaul. And this is the prayers in English for Espiritismo. This is one of the best translation into English. Most of the translations in English are horrible. But this I highly recommend to people if they want to learn the prayers, if they don't know how to pray in Spanish, but they want an excellent English translation of the collection of selected prayers. Remember, Espiritismo, even though in Puerto Rico and Cuba and in Venezuela, even though Espiritismo is like a shamanistic tradition that incorporates African and indigenous elements, there are a lot of Christian elements, and we view Jesus as one of the greatest, or the greatest mystic, the greatest espiritista. Jesus was a healer, He could speak with the dead. He spoke with Moses and Elijah. He can heal. He can lift causas, is what we call in Puerto Rico, curses. He could vanquish demons. And he taught us how to live basically with love and unity and in peace and in respect of your fellow man and all that. So Espiritismo in all the traditions in the Caribbean are, even though they mix with African, African elements and native Taino and Arawak, traditions, much of the teachings are Christian in concept. So if you do not agree with Christian concepts or Catholic concepts, then Espiritismo as practiced in the Caribbean or in South America and Central America would definitely not be for you, because we start our prayers with the Our Father, the Hail Mary, and most of the prayers to the Spirit are very, very Christian in element. There's no prayers here for conjuration demon. So if you practice any form of black magic or necromancy, you're not going to find that in Espiritismo, and you're going to waste your time in Espiritismo, because Espiritismo is not about conjuring demons. It is not about conjuring spirits for power. It is about enlightening, giving spirits who need help enlightenment, helping them along the way into that spiritual ladder, that escala espiritual, to reach eternal elevation and enlightenment. So this is the first book. A lot of people ask me, what is the best translation of La Oraciones Escogidas? And I would say this one, the collection of selected prayers. I'm trying not to get the sun glare. By Candita C. Gaul. I don't know how many pages it is. Prayers of all the souls. And I definitely, Contemplation, which is the one for the Luna. Que bella es la luna, su rostro de plata, which I like to use. So you can see that most of the prayers and most of the poems in Espiritismo have a very Christian undertone to it. Faith, Hope, and Charity, Fe, Esperanza, y Caridad. So yes, this is the best English translation of the books, of this book that my grandmother had, which is something that was handed down to me. This book is from 1956, 57. I keep it very protected, and I just brought it out for the video. So yes, this is one of the books that you will find in misas and sesiones espiritistas, whether it's be from Puerto Rico, Cuba, Venezuela, Mexico. This book you will always see on the altar. Oremos is another book that you often see in, Mesa Blancas. I don't think there's an English translation. If there is an English translation to Oremos, please leave a comment down below, because this is another prayer book that my grandmother, a lot of the mediums in Puerto Rico, La Media Unidades, also used. I don't know if there is an English version of this prayer. There are some very beautiful prayers in here, some very beautiful poems. A lot that have to do with Spiritism, Espiritismo. A lot of people confuse Espiritismo with Espiritualismo, Espiritism with spiritualism. Spiritism and spiritualism are two different things. They both believe in the same concept of the world of spirit and the interaction of the world of spirit. But spiritists, Espiritistas, are Christians. We believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ as a mystic, okay, as a medium, while spiritualists are also mediums. They can also communicate with the dead. They can also see the world of the spirits, but they do not necessarily have to be Christians or follow the teachings of Allan Kardec in the Gospels of Espiritismo. So Spiritism and spiritualism, Espiritistas and Espiritualistas, are two different things. Another book that you will find on our altars is La Fe en las Oraciones. Now, these have to do more with folk Espiritismo than scientific Espiritismo, because scientific Kardecian Espiritismo does not deal with the ancestors, and they do not deal with African spirit guides. So you will often see this book. This is two versions of this book, La Fe en las Oraciones. This one has 132, this one has 154, and they're both in Spanish, and you will often find magical prayers for los santos, for the saints. And you will find, let's see who we have here, Maria Piedra de Imán for the prayer of the lodestone. Here we have La Oración de la Rosa de Jericho, the prayer for the Rose of Jericho, okay, to do fortune, for la buena suerte. You will find prayers that have to do, of course, with Christianity. But also, let me see if I can find one. Tabaco para traer. You will also find, there's the Padre Nuestro, which is Catholic. You will also find, there's Catholic prayers. You will also find African prayers to the saints. There's one for El Eguá, La Herradura, Oración del Retiro. So most of these prayers, even though they are used in Espiritismo Criollo, these are also used in Brujeria, in Hispanic traditional witchcraft. This is La Siete, Potencias Africana, the prayer to the seven African powers, okay, which is not necessarily found in Espiritismo Científico, but they are found in Espiritismo Criollo, the Creole spiritism, the folk spiritism, the prayer to the Ruda. So you will often, Oración del Muerto, prayer to to your dead. Oración de la Puerta, prayer to the door. There, in this book, that you will also find a prayer to La Madama, El Negro José, Santa Marta, la Dominadora. You will find folk saints, Catholic saints. El Brujo Hechicero, Oración al Brujo Hechicero, prayer to the witch sorcerer. So you will often find this in a lot of espiritistas who practice some form of folk magic. Not all espiritistas practice folk magic. This is for the Ángel Conquistador. Let's see. La Madama, Oración to la Madama. So a lot of people ask me, are there English translations to these books? Actually, original publications just did translations to these books, and I'm going to show you right now. So you will definitely find these for those espiritistas who practice some form of folk magia, folk magic, traditional folk magic in Puerto Rico, in the Caribbean, Venezuela, and all that. And the English translations of these books are these two right here, which is the New Revised Helping Yourself with Selected Prayers. Okay, the first edition has over 125 prayers, and the second edition has 170, okay, published by original publication. This one has a picture of Allan Kardec, so you will know that there are prayers for Espiritismo here, the prayers that we use for our veladas. So I recommend this for people who enjoy to pray to folk saints, you know, and how we would pray. There's for Santa Ana. There is San Antonio, and they're all in English. So these are the English translations of that book, La Fe en la Oración, San Aparicio. San Aparicio is for when things get lost and you want things to appear. My grandmother used to say, que aparezca San Aparicio, que aparezca San Aparicio, que aparezca. That was a little charm that she used to say. Santa Bárbara, San Christopher, San Blas. I'm saying them in Spanish, I'm sorry. This is the prayer to Saint Cosmos and Damian, Santa Clara for clarity, La Caridad del Cobre, San Elías, el Barón del Cementerio, the Baron of the Cemetery. So you will find a lot of, right here is a San Expedito, San Francisco, San Jorge, St. George. What I like about it is that they all have well, not all, but most of them have pictures. I'm trying to get some of the mystical, even though most of these prayers, there's a prayer for La Madama, or Holy Spirit, or I implore your sublime influence for my protection. This is the prayer for La Madama. So you will find folk prayers to folk saints, souls of Lima. You'll find folk saints, prayers for folk saints used in traditional Hispanic brujeria, witchcraft, mixed in with Catholic prayers. We brujos in the Caribbean, Hispanic witches, do not see. This is the prayer to San Luis Beltran. Luis Beltran, this is one that we use the most for removing curses, black magic, the evil eye. The Spanish version is a little bit longer than the English one, I noticed, and it's more detailed. This one's really short, while the Spanish one is way longer than that. I wish they had written it the way it was written in Spanish, because the Spanish one is very powerful. Santa Lucy for eyesight. The Spanish one of San Luis Beltran is very powerful for removing curses, prayers to the lodestone. So you will see Santa Marta. You will see folk saint prayers in this book. This is just the first part, and I'm just showing you. This is La Oración del Justo Juez, the Just Judge. San Miguel for dominating demons, demonio. La Mano Poderosa, prayer to the powerful hand. La Virgen de la Montserrat, Our Lady of Montserrat. Montserrat would be, in voodoo, would be kind of like Silidanto. La Virgen Morenita. So you will find many prayers, and this is just the English one. Prayer to the 13 rays of the sun, los 13 rayos del sol. I'm so used to saying them in Spanish. Okay, so this is just the first one. You can see it's kind of old, but I've had this for a long time. This is the second one. The second edition, they edited it a little bit better in the reason that they put the prayers, so you have the Catholic prayers to the saints and what the prayers to the Catholic saints are used for, and the Orisha, the Santeria Orisha, so how they're used as santos in the Santeria or Santerismo tradition. Then you have traditional Catholic prayers. I want to check something out, sorry. Mexican version, Cuban version. All right. So then you have Catholic, traditional Catholic saint prayers. Over here you have Spiritista prayers, selected prayers for what we use in Espiritismo. And over here is foundation prayers. And then part 7 is devotional prayers. Wicca. I'm surprised there's a Wiccan prayer in here. Of course, I had to see that one. Okay, so anyways, I guess if you're Wiccan, if you want to use the saints, you can use this as well. So here's El Niño de Atocha. I just want to just show you the lonely souls, las ánimas solas, in Purgatorio, San Antonio. La Virgen de la Calle del Cobre. This is pretty much similar to the first edition. It just has more prayers. This is for Santa Clara. El Niño Juan Bautista. Okay. So if you want to have, and these are the prayers that we use in traditional folk magic, las Siete Potencias, prayers to the 7 African powers, Our Lady of Candlemas, okay, La Candelaria, Chango Macho, prayer to Chango Macho, prayer to Yemaya, goddess of the sea, the most glorious prayer to Elegua. Then the second part is San Martín de Porres, San Martín de Porres, San Judas Tadeo, San Miguel, el Sagrado Corazón de Jesucristo, the Sacred Heart of Jesus, la Virgen de Guadalupe, Charles Borromeo, which a lot of people in the 21 division use to synchronize with Papa Candelo Sedife. So that's the prayer to Charles Borromeo. If you follow a couple of prayers for him, you can use it also for Papa Candelo Sedife if you follow Sanse or 21 division. Let's see, Gabriel, La Mano Poderosa, Powerful Hand of God, Santa Lucia for eyesight, Santa Lucia for eyesight, for the needy, Guardian Angel, San Blas, Santa Ana. A lot of people in the Caribbean do not, who are brujos, who are witches, who follow traditional witchcraft, not just in the Caribbean, but in Latin America. We do not see the difference between Catholicism, even though a long history of Catholicism that persecuted the witches in Latin America and in the Caribbean. This is San Isidro, Papasaca. Even though the Catholics did persecute and the Inquisition did come to the New World, little interesting tidbit, the first witch burnings in the Americas happened in Puerto Rico, in what was then called El Fanguito de las Brujas, and that is in San Juan. And now there's a college standing there. There was a lot of witch burnings and a lot of heretic people who were killed for heresy. And Puerto Rico hides that history. They don't want to, San Juan doesn't want that to be part of its history. But yes, the first witch burnings in the Americas happened in El Fanguito de las Brujas, in what is in Puerto Rico, in what is now San Juan. I think there's a college in where El Fanguito used to be. Don't remember the name of the college at this very moment. San Alejo. So yes, you will find a lot of prayers to various Juana de Arco, Joan of Arc, Joan of Arc was a very powerful medium, espiritista at the age when she lived in France. She was what we call desarrollando at the time when the poor girl was caught and placed in jail. That poor girl was desarrollando espiritualmente, developing spiritually. This is Jose Gregorio Hernandez. A lot of people in the Haitian voodoo traditions use him as a baron because he usually has a hat on. If you see Jose Gregorio, he was an espiritista from Venezuela. He was a white man who practiced as folk healing and was a devout Catholic. He really didn't follow. It was folk healing, sorry, not folk magic. He did folk healing. Oración to la Madama again. La Chuparrosa. El Negro Felipe. So you see, Oración al Negro Hermano José. So you see, as the book is getting a lot of these, prayer for behind the door, for money and riches, the takeaway prayer, spirit of the mummy. I've never heard that one. The spirit of the seven heavens, controlling spirits. You'll see a lot of controlling spirits. The red witch prayer. Oh, okay. So you will see that a lot of Hispanic traditions, el Congo spirits, prayer to el espíritu Congo. Sangelia, which is also El Barón. In Latin American countries, we synchronize a Sangelia, Saint Elijah, with El Barón del Cementerio, Baron Samedi, the Baron of the Cemetery. I think in Haitian Voodoo, they use a Saint Martin. And some, I guess, are now using a Don Gregorio. Here's a prayer to Santa Marta Dominadora, and the Just Judge. So you get a pretty much invocation to put down a hidden enemy, the spirit of hatred. So you see, it's getting a lot harder. And then in the back of the book are the prayers that we use in Espiritismo. So anyways, this is the second version, and this is the first and second version, and these are in English, of course. I just showed you of these books of La Fe en las Oraciones, and you will see that in a lot of Latino and Hispanic traditions, especially folk magic, traditional brujeria, brujeria tradicional of, each island practices it a little bit different, that you will see that a lot of Catholic influences are in it. Christian elements are in it. Anyways, these are the books that I highly recommend if you want to learn how to pray and use the powers of the magic of the saints in your magical working, in your spiritual working, because a lot of people ask me about this book that they see a lot in Espiritistas or Brujos house. Espiritistas and Brujos, we always have at least these two books, at least from the Caribbean. So a lot of people ask me, well, what are they in English? And so here they are. You've got the one for the saints. This is more for working with the santos, okay, and magical ways of working with the santos, while this, la colección a collection of selected prayers, would be with the spirits. So the spirits are like spirits of the dead, spirits that have lost their ways, spirits that need enlightenment. There's no conjuration prayers in this book. In Espiritismo, we do not conjure. We call them peacefully into a velada, but we do not conjure. We are not necromancers. So this book is that book in English. And then here, these books, which is La Fe en la Oración, are how we use the folk saints with prayer for magical or spiritual purposes. Anyways, this is Sancita Brujo Luis. This video is getting a little too long. I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a comment down